Hi, I'm Empress Rose, and this is the Hierophant. So, the Hierophant, card number 5. Number 5 is over here on this harsher side of things, severity. But we have the Hierophant traditionally placed between the third eye and the voice. So this to me reminds me of a sermon, right? And this is a religious leader. So this reminds me of a sermon, from the thoughts and ideas into speaking about it. So the Hierophant can represent both a religious leader or religious structure, some kind of structure here. We're talking about tradition, rules, regulations. These are the sycophants, or the supplicants, wanting to please this religious leader. This is patriarchy, the spiritual. There might be spirituality at its core, its original intent, but this is the structure that's been built up around that intent. And the way I read the Hierophant is the structure has become more important than the original intent. The rules, the regulations, this is all much more important than original intentions and that spark. This would be, we have a similar temple as we see in the High Priestess, but it's a different temple. This is the temple that the High Priestess, or Pope Joan, would have been kicked out of. The female spirituality having been kicked out of this whole structure here, this much more patriarchal. And by patriarchal, I don't mean men, and I don't mean masculine necessarily. I mean this structure of authority, of highly structured authority here. This can talk about religious institutions, and it often traditionally talks about marriage as well. So there might be some spirituality at its core, but it's a lot of rules, regulations. It demands conformity. It's not going to let any Pope Joan kind of get through the cracks here. It demands conformity because it's all about hierarchy and who's in charge. Structure is all important, more important than anything else. So this leader must be followed. If you want to get where you want to go, you have to do what they tell you to do. You have to follow all the rules. You have to work within this structure, this institution, and with this dominant personality. It differs from the emperor in that it's more about the structure. So the emperor, we had the emperor, the person who has the right to rule, and then there's the structure behind them. These are the rules and regulations that ensconce that emperor and allow that emperor to have the authority that it has. So and so also with this one, there are a lot of symbols. There's even more symbols than I notice, than I look at here. So there's a lot of symbols with the Hierophant, because it is all about symbology and the importance of symbols and the importance of structures and the importance of appearances and the importance of all of that. So the symbols, to me, there's so many of them that it's where it's more religion than spirituality, right? The symbol, when the symbols and the structure become more important, we lose the heart of the matter, and we end up with just in some ways some hollow structures here. Not all hollow. So we'll look at different decks here. So we have these crossed keys, the keys to heaven and hell. You can either move up, or you can get kicked out. You can either adhere, or you can be banished, right? So he holds the power. He's going to decide that. It's not just this one too has to conform to the rules, and they had a lifetime of conforming to these rules and going through that. So they don't have, in my mind, a lot of mercy because they were able to conform to the rules and succeed. It worked for them. This system worked for them. They don't see what the problem is with the system. So we also have this sign, this ecclesiastical sign of what can be seen, what cannot be seen. So at least giving us a nod to the High Priestess and that original spirituality. And then we have the triple cross representing, as I read it, the convert, organize, and lead the masses. So tell the masses what to think, tell the masses what to believe, tell the masses what they have to do, and lead the masses. We are the masses. So this is providing the structure for us to be good enough, right? Which really contrasts with the Empress of you are good enough already. So this is like, let's introduce some original sin here so they all feel like crap and they have to do exactly what we tell them to do in order to be okay people. So, the Waite deck, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, Waite talks about it being marriage, servitude, some sort of alliances, having to join forces with something, having to comply with something in order to get what you want, follow the rules, and the performance of spirituality. So we'll see that in some of those other decks too. In the reverse, it can talk about weakness. It can talk about non-compliance. It can talk about non-traditional, moving outside of societal institutions, and needing to move outside that, or just being a person that's outside that, or being not the ensconced leader, but the de facto leader. So, and then, this one decides whether your offering is acceptable or not, right? That was a big issue in the Bible, whether the offering is acceptable or not. This one is the priest that's going to tell you whether that offering is acceptable or not. So, and this one really embodies I think has really informed how I view the Hierophant. He's not happy, not spiritual. He holds the keys to heaven and hell. He'll be deciding what you're going to be experiencing in this lifetime. And here again are the supplicants or the sycophants back here. What can we do for you? What do you need? How can I help you? And does he look happy with all of his power? No. Because it lacks genuine spirituality, in my opinion, on this. He's in the temple, he's in the sanctuary, he's in the right place, he has the right tools, he has all of the right clothes, all of that is right. But the core feels imbalanced, can be imbalanced. We can also just be straight up talking about a religious leader. Here we have this Hierophant from Guardians of the Night, this little mouse. He's going to lead all these other little mouses to heaven, to the bakery. Here's the key to heaven. And he's going to tell them how to get there. How do you get to heaven? Let me tell you. So he has sort of secret information that has been passed down to him. And so this one really has to me more of a leader vibe, or, he's figured out how to get in. Look how big he is, right? He's got evidence that in this one, there's evidence that he does have some kind of key to the kingdom. He does have some kind of inside knowledge because he's fat. He's fat. He got in this bakery, and these other little skinny mice are like, please tell us how to get fat like you, how to enjoy that process. And this one has more legitimacy to me than this one. This one, I don't know why I would turn to this person for any kind of advice unless I had to do what they were telling me to do in order to get something that I needed. But this one, I would be like, the fruits of his spirituality are evident here. The fruits of his knowledge are evident here. So he might know what he's talking about. This one I love as well. Here we have the ancient knowledge. So at the core of these institutions is some sort of really important knowledge. Like at the core of our justice institutions, is this at the core of it a desire for a better justice rather than mob justice. Whether justice always lives up to that, no, it doesn't. There's a lot of injustice in the justice system, and we all know it when we see it. But the institution itself has some knowledge. So here we have this tree representing the ancient knowledge. It does go back. These institutions are really good at maintaining institutional knowledge and information and passing that on and maintaining traditions, right? Traditions have to be maintained. We don't know where they come from, but they have to be maintained. So that's what the Hierophant is doing, maintaining traditions, maintaining the structure and the order. And it goes back a long time, and sometimes we don't even know why we're doing what we're doing, but it goes back a long time. So this tree is talking about the ancient. This owl is talking about the wisdom, ancient wisdom. This is you. You're trying to learn from it. And it can be held in books. Like books are this really great way to bequeath information and to hold information. And that's why, mobs that don't want this information passed down burn libraries. There's a lot. I was just learning about a library on human sexuality that was placed in Germany that got burnt by the Nazis, and it had all sorts of information about trans people and homosexuality and all sorts of like great research on it that's all had to be started over just within recent years. So, and it was burnt to the ground because that information, they did not want that passed on. They did not want knowledge, information, anything about it passed on. Just bury it. So, but this is, so this book here is about this ancient knowledge and this ancient information. And this might be a very old book. So there is something to be learned from these institutions. And I like that reading. I can start to get more into the Hierophant idea with this card and this depiction of it. It is ancient, it is traditional, but held within those traditions are these golden nuggets, right? Like, so holiday traditions, this can sometimes remind me of holiday traditions. Some of them are really stupid and time consuming and idiotic. And where did they come from? And why did we start doing this? But at the core of them, there's usually some sort of like, creating community cohesion, like gifts, and eating together, and there's a point to it. So when we throw out the tradition, we need to make sure we're not throwing out the baby with the bathwater. What's the point of the tradition? Let's understand that. Let's preserve that and throw out and get rid of anything that's not serving us anymore, isn't useful and doesn't fit in our lives, but while also maintaining the purpose of it. So that's a little bit more of what I see here, this ancient wisdom being accessed here. This one, we have the idea of a guru, of a spiritual teacher. And here we have the supplicant you, having come very far and attempting to make a proper fire, a proper offering to this one. In this reading, it's a lot more radical than the other ones. This guru is here and she's just basically going to tell you, like, I'm inside you. What you see in me is actually a reflection of the ancient wisdom that you already have within yourself. And I see that same message hinted here with this moon, this intuition here. So, but there is information that we can only get from books. There's information about a lot of stuff, right, that these institutions do hold. And then we have the Santa Muerte. Again, this is another one of my favorite ones. This one, this Hierophant, this priest, is here. They do have the tools to communicate, to gain this special knowledge from ancestors, right? So that can be put down through books, as we've seen here, or this more direct connection through this Ouija board. Again, we have words, though. And we have the ancestors down here. We have the sanctuary, the safe place. This has a much more spiritual, individual spiritual vibe to me. But this is someone who has the tools to access ancient information and ancestral information. So this one I wasn't going to include, but I think it does pick up some really good, it's from the Good Tarot. I think it picks up some really good ideas. She's got all the tools. She's got all the bells and whistles. She looks the part. Here we've got all of the tools here. We've got rings representing marriage. We've written stuff down representing that passing down of ancient knowledge. But she's got the structures and the tools and the symbols of external religion. To me, there's just so much symbology here that it symbolizes externalized religion, which is good, right? It's how a lot of wisdom gets passed down. It's how a lot of great things get passed down, is that external religion. Sometimes, so depending on which deck I've felt called to use, the Hierophant can come in very differently, but it's basically traditional knowledge, wisdom, and it can come in as a shallow shell of what it once was, or it can come in as, a lot deeper than that. So that was the Hierophant. Hope that was helpful.